Hello! Today I'm going to do a video I haven't done a lot about before. I'm going to do a booktube video, and today, to start off booktube, my booktube type stuff, I'm going to do a bookshelf tour. To explain how I have my books organized in here is alphabetical by the author's last name, and then has some oversized miscellaneous books after that I felt didn't really fit into the regular organization of the other shelves. And then, as you can probably see, I have a lot of little knickknacks and stuff in front of the books just because I don't really have anywhere else to put them. Let's get started. I'm going to show you all the books I have on my bookshelf. First off, I have Proof by David Auburn. Second, I have 2 copies of Pride and Prejudice. Next, I have Emma by Jane Austen. Next, I have the Pride and Prejudice and Zombies series by Jane Austen and Seth Grahame-Smith. I've only read the first one, but I still have the second and third one to read. Next, I have Red Queen and Glass Sword by Victoria Aveyard. Next, I have The Darkest Part of the Forest by Holly Black. Next, I have The Darkest Mind by Alexandra Bracken. Next, I have Passenger, also by Alexandra Bracken. Next, I have the classic Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury. Next, I have this really old copy. It's a collection of short stories for children that is from the year 1906, so I bought it just because it was really old and it looked cool. Next, I have I'd Tell Her I'd Love You, But Then I Have to Kill You and Cross My Heart and Hope to Spy by Ally Carter. Then I also have Heist Society and Uncommon Criminals, also by Ally Carter. I also have All Fall Down, See How They Run, and Take the Key and Lock Her Up. Next, I have this quick little read, The Siren by Kara Cass. Next, I have Kara Cass's other series, The Selection, The Elite, The One, and The Heir. I have only read the first 3 so far, but I look forward to finishing off the series with the last 2. Next, I have The Bane Chronicles by Cassandra Clare, Sarah Reese Brennan, and Maureen Johnson. Next, I have The Hamilton Affair by Elizabeth Cobbs. Next, I have The Land of Stories Beyond the Kingdoms by Chris Colfer. This is actually the 4th book in the series, and I have not started the series yet. I have this one because I got it signed when he was here. Next is The World of the Hunger Games, which is just this nice little behind-the-scenes book for the movie. Next, I have 101 Famous Poems put together by Roy J. Cook, but it's a bunch of different poets, and it's a really nice thing to just sort of pick up and read a little bit before bed. Next, I have a signed copy of You're Never Weird on the Internet, Almost, by Felicia Day, who is an actress from Supernatural and many other things, and I loved meeting her. She was so sweet. This is her signature. Next, I have Deep Blue and Rogue Wave by Jennifer Donnelly. Next, I have Ranger's Apprentice, The Early Years, The Battle of the Hackham Heath, and The Tournament at Gorlan. I think, which one's first? This is book 1, this is book 2. They're both by John Flanagan. I have not read either of these yet, but that's because I'm not sure. I think this is a prequel series, so I'm not sure if I'm supposed to read the other series first or not. These were a gift, but I do look forward to reading this series soon because it looks really interesting. Next, I have All I Know Now by Carrie Hope Fletcher. Next is The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. Next, I have Inkheart by Cornelia Funky, I don't know how to say her name, and Dragon Rider by her as well. Next, I have An Abundance of Catherines by John Green. Next, I have Water for Elephants by Sarah Gruen. Next, I have Firecracker by David Isaron. I don't know if I pronounced that right. Next, I have Is Everyone Hanging Out Without Me and Other Concerns by Mindy Kaling. Next, I have A Separate Piece by John Knowles, which is one of those school books that most people hated, but I actually kind of loved. Next is a classic, Ella Enchanted by Gail Carson Levine. Next, I have Every Day by David Leviathan. Is Rules by Cynthia Lord. Next is Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. Next is A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. I've read this first one, but not the second and third one yet. Next is Shatter Me by Tara Hagmaf. I have no idea how to say this name, but this book looks really good and has like one of the prettiest covers ever. Next is Wicked by Gregory Maguire. Next is The Falconer by Elizabeth May. Next is the first book of the Lunar Chronicles, Cinder by Marissa Mayer. This is one of the main series I plan to read this summer, so I look forward to delving into this world. Next, I have The Director's Notebook from Twilight, so it's Stephenie Meyer and the director of the first movies. Next, I have the mini book novella, The Short Second Life of Bree Tanner by Stephenie Meyer. Next, I have The Twilight Saga, the official illustrated guide by Stephenie Meyer. Then I have the special 10th anniversary edition of Twilight and Life and Death by Stephenie Meyer. Next, I have her new book, The Chemist by Stephenie Meyer, and I got this one signed and got to meet her, which was so exciting. Then I have The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. Next I have Me Before You by Jojo Moyes. Next I have I'll Give You the Sun by Jandy Nelson. Next I have the beautiful illustrated version of A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness, and then the illustrations are done by Jim Kay. If you have not read this book and seen these illustrations, you so should. It is a beautiful story, and the illustrated version is even better. Next, I have Binge by Tyler Oakley, his memoir that I got to meet him last year and get it signed, which was super exciting. I have read this entire book already, but this summer I think I'm also going to listen to it on audiobook. Next, I have 3 books by Lauren Oliver. I have Delirium and Pandemonium. Then I also have Before I Fall by her. Next, I have When the Wind Blows by James Patterson. Next, I have the classic Bridge to Terabithia by Catherine Patterson. Next, I have these 2 books by Anna Questerly. She's a local author, so I have both of these books signed. Next, I have one of my all-time favorites, Kingdom Keepers Disney After Dark. This is the first one by Ridley Pearson. Next, I have Anthem by Ayn Rand. Next, I have a Doctor Who book called The Stone Rose with the 10th Doctor in Rose by Jacqueline Raynar. Next, I have Interview with a Vampire by Anne Rice. Next, I have Hollow City, which is the second book of Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children by Ransom Riggs. Next, I have the Red Pyramid series by Rick Riordan, which is Red Pyramid, Throne of Fire, and Serpent's Shadow. I have another copy of the Red Pyramid because I have the box set and then an extra one. Next, I have The Demigod Diaries and Percy Jackson and the Olympians, The Demigod Files, both by Rick Riordan. Next, I have my very worn copies of the Percy Jackson series, which is The Lightning Thief, Sea of Monsters, The Titan's Curse, The Battle of the Labyrinth? I have no idea how to say that word, but the 4th one, The Last Olympian. I have my Heroes of Olympus series, which is, these are heavy books, which is The Son of Neptune, The Mark of Athena, House of Hades, and The Blood of Olympus. This series I love possibly even more than the first Percy Jackson series, and I know I don't have the first one, The Lost Hero, in paper. That's because when I was reading it I was on vacation, so I had it on Kindle, but I would really like to get a hardcover to complete my series. Next, I have Magnus Chase in the Gods of Asgard, The Hammer of Thor, and Magnus Chase in the Gods of Asgard, The Sword of Summer, also by Rick Riordan. Next, I have The Trials of Apollo, Book 1, The Hidden Oracle, also by Rick Riordan. I don't have the second one of this yet, which just recently came out, but I look forward to getting it and reading it. Finally, out of my mini Rick Riordan books, I have a few by Rainbow Rowell. I have Landline, which is a signed copy because I got to meet her, which was so fun. She wrote Spirit, Meow. I feel like that probably pertains to the book, maybe? I don't know. Because I have not read this one yet, but I want to very soon. I have Eleanor and Park. I also have Carry On by her. Next, I have J.K. Rowling's 2 newest books. I have the Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. I have the script, or the screenplay for Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. Next, I have the first 3 Harry Potters, which are all very worn copies. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, and Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. I have the rest of the Harry Potter series that are very heavy. These are the ones I have in hardcover. I have Book 5, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, I have no idea where the book sleeve for this went, but whatever. I have Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. Its book sleeve is falling apart, but that's fine. And lastly, I have Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. And if you're wondering, I don't have Goblet of Fire on my shelf right now just because my sister is currently reading that one. Next, I have Between Shades of Grey by Ruta Sepetys. Next, I have this really pretty version of Romeo and Juliet by William Shakespeare. Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. Next, I have Stargirl by Jerry Spinelli. Next, I have the movie cover of The Help by Catherine Stockett. Next, I have the Lord of the Rings trilogy and The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. I have read The Hobbit, but I have not gotten to the Lord of the Rings yet, but I hope to this summer. Next, I have this Star Wars book called The Courtship of Princess Leia by Dave Wolverton. Next, I have my favorite book of all time, The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak. I have another book by Marcus Zusak, I Am the Messenger. First, I have This I Believe, which is a collection of essays about things people believe in. Next, I have the Sindarian English Dictionary, which is something I bought when I was really into trying to learn Elvish from Lord of the Rings, which I still am, but I'm working on it. I have The Amazing Book Is Not on Fire, The World of Dan and Phil. Next, I have the Character Encyclopedia for Doctor Who. Next, I have Hamilton, The Revolution by Lin-Manuel Miranda and Jeremy McCarter, which is just a super cool behind-the-scenes look into the musical. Next, I have the classic The Nutcracker. Next, I have the Where We Are, Our Band, Our Story of One Direction. Next, I have Percy Jackson's Greek Gods by Rick Riordan and illustrated by John Rocco. Next, I have this behind-the-scenes look into Phantom of the Opera by George Perry. So I have this graphic novel, Tan Popo by Camilla De Recco. Next, I have Hey, Let's Make a Band, the official 5 Sauce book. So that is it. That is my bookshelf tour. If you enjoyed, I plan to do more Booktube type videos in the future, so I hope you like them. Like, share, subscribe, comment, all that fun stuff, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye! Next, I have the classic Fair and I know exactly who wrote it, but it's still a hunger. Next is A Court of Thorns. Next, I have Next, graphic novel. Next.